Another national security issue. Not since the Cuban Missile Crisis have we heard so much discussion about the threat of the use of nuclear weapons. As a member of Congress, what actions would you support against Russia or North Korea to reduce that threat? We'll start with Senator Vargas.
One, this is a real threat, and it's not a real threat that you normally hear. We're hearing it in this day and age, and it's because Russia is doing everything they can to undermine Ukraine, and also is fighting on a global scale and is not only threatening democracies, but is threatening the well-being of the region and national security. We have to respond. But the way that we respond is what we've been continuing to doing. I support the efforts of not only the administration and Congress in working to then continue to fund military and intelligence efforts, and I'm going to support everything I can to continue to make sure that they have the resources they need to respond. But we cannot be, we have to make sure that we are mindful that this is a real concern. I am worried about nuclear threat. I'm worried about that. And the only way that we're going to be able to respond is making sure we have the resources to Ukraine so that they can squash this and address this threat. And I'm going to do everything I can in Congress to support that.
Thank you. I served at STRATCOM when I was younger. And then when I was a brigadier general, I was trained to fly on the Looking Glass mission, we call it. So it was on the Airborne Alert Mission. My job as a general there was, in case the ground facilities got hit by a sneak attack from Russia or China, that I could take over all of our nuclear forces from the air. So I have direct experience and training in this area. The most important thing we need right now is deterrence. Our nuclear deterrence is too old, and multiple administrations have been too late to fund it. Our ICBMs, of which 70 ICBMs are in western Nebraska, are 50 years old. They cannot be extended. Our B-52 bombers are 60 years old. Imagine driving that 60-year-old car and thinking you could deliver nuclear weapons with it. Well, that's what our maintenance folks are having to deal with. Our B-2 bombers are 30 years old, but that stealth technology is too old. Then we have submarines, the Ohio-class submarine that is also 30 years old. So my point is, our triad, the nuclear deterrence, is aging. And I've led efforts in Congress to fund every part of that nuclear triad. Now, unfortunately, the president, under Joe Biden, wanted a 4% cut in the military. There's no way that could have took care of our triad and also took care of all the other needs we have with Ukraine. With my support, we were able to get that 4% back and actually increase spending by 1 or 2% so that we could have a nuclear deterrence. And we can't let Putin bully us around. We got to stand up to him, otherwise he will continue to threaten us.
Senator Vargas.
Look, we need to make sure that we're addressing this threat. And the best way to do it is to make sure we're continuing to invest in our military and make sure that we are providing everything we can, not only to the administration, but to Congress, to make the most informed decisions possible. We need to make sure that we understand that Russia's a threat, and if we don't directly address this and provide the resources we need to Ukraine, we're going to see this threat continue to expand. And I want to make sure that we're prioritizing our national security.
There is no doubt that President Putin is trying to threaten and bully, and we can't let him do that. You back down once, he'll do it again. It is in our national security interest, too, to have Ukraine as an independent country. So I was concerned when the president in a fundraiser started talking about nuclear Armageddon. We got to be careful that we don't raise the heat up too much and the loud noise on this. We need to be steady, calm, but do not back down to this Russian bully. Otherwise, he'll continue to raise the ante and try to get what he wants through threats and bullying.